A good friend of mine, a lovely woman, Diane VonFurstenberg. May we have a nice welcome to her, please? Diane is from Belgium. She's an extremely successful designer and also businesswoman. Her line includes, among other things, dresses, sportswear, scarves, luggage, eyewear, fragrance. Have I left out something? I'm sure I have.
Cosmetics.
Cosmetics? Well,
anything a woman would want.
Well, we were just looking at the Karl's fall collection. What are we going to see part of?
Well, looking at my clothes after Karl's clothes is a little bit like looking at a Volkswagen after a Rolls-Royce, but that's all right. It's, you know, you need both.
Well, then how do you define the difference in terms of whom you're designing for?
Well, basically, I always think of myself not so much as a designer, but as a woman making clothes for other women. And because I move a lot and I am very active, I try to make things with taste and with flair, but very practical and not expensive.
Now, what would you say, Karl, in response to the woman you're designing for? If you could define her, what kind of a woman is she?
You know, I design more for an idea of a woman because I'm not a woman myself. For Diane, it's easier because she has only to think about herself and things will be right. If I would do that, it would not be right at all.
Well, what is that idea of a woman, then?
It changes with times, you know. The woman is supposed to be the woman of the moment, the expression of time, the reflection of what's in the air. But I would, how could I say, it is a very graphic image of a woman.
Mm-hmm. And you are constantly drawing, constantly working, right?
Yes, it's better in fashion never to stop.
Never to stop.
No,
Also, I read a quote of yours saying that the more you work, the more ideas you get.
Exactly. It's very hard to start working again after 2 months of vacation.
How about you, Diane?
Well, I think the more you do anything, the more
Exactly.
you want. And I mean, the more you eat, the more you're hungry. The more you love, the more you want to be loved.
I've noticed that. Let's take a look at some of your things. Is this from your spring collection, summer collection, and fall?
This is early fall, actually. This
fall?
Is, yeah.
Good.
Well, but it's very early fall, so this will all be in the stores like in July. And I thought the first thing I should really show was a wrap dress, since that's what I'm known for, is the little wrap dress. And this is a new fabric that we came up with, which is wonderful. It's a silk jersey. And this whole thing is like a handkerchief. I mean, you could take this whole dress and it will hold in one hand. It's very, very thin. It's very practical. You could put it in your pocketbook.
I love the drape look on the front, which we're seeing now. You like that, Karl? It
Yes.
has a feeling of a
No, what I
statue.
like very much about the dress is that's very much Diana.
Yes. Yes.
That's her. You see her. You see the dress, you see her. That's what I like about women when they design.
And this is another little thing. This is a silk again, but this is a silk woven. And it's, again, this is very much me. It's a pair of pants and a blazer and a blouse underneath. And the great thing about this thing is that you can wear the pant with something else and the jacket with something else. And basically, that's what I try to do. I try to design the way I would pack a suitcase. And if possibly, you don't have to check in that suitcase. So it's all very many-purpose, very, you know, you pick that and you make it go with that, and it's all supposed to go together.
And what is the fabric here again?
Silk.
Silk. It's beautiful. You know, it's funny. Is that also from the fall collection? Because it looks like you could be wearing it right now.
But, I mean, basically, you could wear everything right now. And the only reason I brought this is really right now, it's current, but the only reason why I put this in the group is because of the contrast piping and the mixture of color. And I think we're going into a depressing time, and that's why I try to play with colors and make everything bright, because I think we all need a lift.
Well, that sure is bright. I think it works. Beautiful.
But I hope the time will not be too depressing.
No, we don't want to get too depressing.
No.
Well, we don't want to. But this is a part of the sportswear. What I try to do again is to come up with a great skirt and a great jacket and mix them and not mix them so that the jacket could go over a dress and everything could match.
Now
And
this looks like fall.
Yeah. Well, today it looked like today.
By the way, all of the models you're seeing, their shoes have been furnished by Carina Nucci's Shoe Boutique, which I think is right here on Madison Avenue. One last one in this part of the show.
Well, this is a little more formal, but it's a little Well, again, the piping, but this time instead of bright color is the gold piping. And this is a very simple little suit, can be worn anywhere by anybody.
What's the price range on something like this, Diane? I forget to ask that question, then the people call in and say, how much does this stuff cost?
This will, well, the dresses are basically either just under or just above $100. And I hate to say this, but this suit will only sell for about $150.
Why do you hate to say it?
Well, because I'm sitting next to Karl.
Carl, we'll get into the prices of your things later on. We have one more.
I don't know nothing about the prices of my suit.
Oh, you forgot you forgot the belt. And this is another suit, which is a more sportive suit. It's a gray jacket, of which you forgot the belt, but that's all right.
I have a belt. I'd be happy to give it to you. I like the slits. Okay. Why don't we take a break and come back and see what John Weitz has in store for us. We'll be back right after this. Our guests really have established tremendous success in various areas, and John Weitz, without question, is no exception. To read from a list, which I've written here, he's lent his name and his expertise to the design of, obviously, menswear and women's wear, ice buckets, toiletries, luggage, cigars. His latest endeavor is to design a car. He's also been a best-selling author of both a book about men's fashions and a highly successful novel back in 1970. Let's have a nice welcome for a true Renaissance man, John Weitz. Nice to have you with us, John.
Glad to be here.
I remember when I was really getting into cars when I was a teenager, and I used to sit in school when I should have been learning other things, Latin being one of them, and I would design the way I would do it if I could draw a car. What led you to be able to have this unique opportunity to design a car which is going to be coming out when, in the fall?
Well, everybody doodles cars. As a matter of fact, I just read an interview done 25 years ago with Virgil Exner, the great motorcar stylist, who said that all car designing comes out of doodling. I think most people, sports cars, for instance, are worn. They're not driven. I mean, a guy puts on a car and drives it around. So I decided, what the heck? Firstly, because I'm a fashion designer, I can design a car that gets worn. And secondly, I used to race cars for 10 years all over the world. It was my great hobby, so I know how the inside of the darn thing works. And off I went with a car.
All right, now we'll take a look at some of the photographs.
That's an aluminum 185 horsepower, 350 cubic inch, 108-inch wheelbase sports car.
Sounds like something right out of the 60s. That's the only thing I'm wondering about is with the gas being up at $1.
Yeah, you kind of get the feeling that you're rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. But there will always be this sort of a special car, a boutique car, that gets driven by people who love them. The big problem is what's going to happen to the big Oldsmobiles, Buicks, etc., which are being decimated now. Sure. But this sort of a car belongs to a guy who wants to have a wife who wears Karl Lagerfeld.
What do you mean, a guy?
That's true.
To a guy, you're absolutely right.
We could go out for a nice
Anyone
ride
as wealthy as Diane can buy.
Well, how much is this custom designed John Weitz car going to cost?
Well, what happens is custom cars are terribly expensive, so it's going to be in the $50,000 range. But if it gets produced, well, in this day and age, a Rolls Royce is now over $100,000. So it doesn't sound all that wild anymore. But if the car gets mass-produced, it'll be in the $15,000 to $20,000 range, which is still expensive.
No, I hope I don't know what the interior is going to be like. We only saw exterior shots, but I hope if there is wood on the interior, you use real wood.
Yeah, there's no wood. The inside is all black metal and black leather. I wanted no fuss and feathers on the inside. It's going to be very functional, very simple.
The reason I say that is some of the best American cars, you could spend $18,000 buying a limousine in the United States and get fake wood on the inside.
But you must understand that in Europe, you get for $18,000, you get a perfectly nice, cheap little car. And a good car in Europe is $50,000 and $60,000. We have the most phenomenal motor car values in the world here.
European cars are very expensive.
What kind of car do you drive, Karl? You never drive.
I don't drive. I don't drive Boston because I'm too distracted by too many things, so I'm a danger on the road.
Does someone drive you? I mean,
yes, somebody has to.
But you own you own a car, though.
Yes, vaguely, but I don't like my car.
What kind? Because
you know,
it's not a Mustang. You're not a Mustang.
I have to buy that car because I have a country house in a district where they can only repair 3 sorts of cars. So you have to buy a car like this. It's not forget about the car.
What kind is it again?
Oh, please, I cannot say that because it's not very nice for the others.
No? Is it a
No, it's a
Rolls?
Mercedes, but it's
Mercedes.
it's not very funny because I had to buy that car because a Mercedes, a Renault, and a Citroën said all they can repair in that part of France where I had my country house.
So necessity is the mother of invention.
Exactly.
How about you, Diane? What kind of car do you drive?
I love driving. I mean, I
Me
drive.
too,
I
yeah.
drive around the city like a maniac, and I've just started now, actually, to drive at night alone. And sometimes on a very clear night, I'll go on the Brooklyn Bridge, and I drive a Mercedes too. I must say, it's not very original, but it's fun.
That is fun.
I love Jeeps. I love
Jeeps?
Yeah.
I can't see you behind the wheel of a Jeep.
Well, you can't see me behind a lot of things.
Well, I'll have to try.
But there's a contrast what's fun.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's really a lot of fun. The only problem is that a friend of mine gave me as a present. They gave me my license plate with DVF on it, and I drove around with a week, and then I had to give it up because I mean it looked like I was driving with this big huge label, and
Yeah.
people looked at it and said sure, and then they looked and said that's her, and
But
so
on
I
the
was
West-
very uncomfortable.
The West Coast, everybody has their names and their initials and their pet's name on a license plate. I just go for random choice. Whatever
Yeah.
comes back,
Yes.
I put on my car.
Yeah.
In Europe, they would put somebody else's name on it.
Yeah,
To
that's
be
right.
sure
So you don't want to
nobody
get
thinks
kidnapped.
it's them.
Exactly.
Absolutely. John, what did you bring for us today? We're taking a look at half of your line, and then we'll be back with the
Kind
other.
of a hash of stuff. There's a gal swimsuit, because I've been doing those recently, lots, and a guy's swimsuit and some business clothes, and you'll see.
All right, let's take a look.
Gal,
Enter.
I like swim clothes that are kind of stolen from menswear, and it's just like a man's shirt. What's underneath is not at all stolen from menswear.
No.
Yes. No. Anyway, there she is in a very simple little cotton swimsuit. Not a big deal, but it makes its point, and it sells inexpensively, and it doesn't break anyone's budget, and it does occasionally intrigue a man or two.
I think it may be doing that right now. What is the fabric on this, John?
It's cotton with a little. I see. Whenever somebody asks me about contents, I always say things like it's made of spun glass and homogenized milk, and people always nod. Very
yes,
knowledgeable.
very
yeah,
knowledgeable.
of course. It's cotton with some tiny portion of something else so that it dries quickly. Otherwise, it takes, I don't know, 4 hours to dry. You know. So that's that one. And
Good work to you, and excellent work to the model.
she's a phenomenal model. Matter of fact, I'm lucky. I have himself here. The fierce beach man. This is a men's beach outfit as such. And to rival her, I think he has a striptease, he told me. Do it. If you... Well, I'm sure you will. There. Anyway, it works that way. Or the other way
That's
around.
the basic way. It's still the same old
There you are,
story.
same.
Straight down and all.
Couldn't be different.
Right. No, we try.
Couldn't be different.
We try.
Over the head.
Over the head would be exceedingly difficult. I have constantly refused, you know, one of the terrible things about me, Bill, is I've having worked at this for 40-some years, and having started in Karl's life in the couture, having apprenticed in Paris and in a house in London after that, I cannot take fashion all that seriously because I don't believe that people walk
I don't
around
take
all day
fashion
long
seriously.
thinking only about clothes. You know, and people say to me, is your lapel wide or narrow? And I say, well, I don't think it matters that much to so many people. Mine may be narrow, but not theirs. There's another beach outfit. All of these things are kind of stolen from today's mood for running and jogging and athletics. And so often you don't need in sportswear to design creatively. All you have to do is see what's happening around you and do it. And there's himself showing his manly form in a sort of a swimsuit, which you can also jog in, or which you can also swim in. Thanks.
Now, Karl, would you enjoy designing things like this, do you think?
Yes, I'm not sure that would be that good for sportswear.
No?
No.
Well, he's on the beach. Of course you are, Karl.
Hey, someone just walked up.
Yeah,
Hey, what's happening?
he appeared.
Hey.
Classic, modern-day, easy, very soft-shouldered, sports-type day clothes. I see no vent in the back because I've been begging my manufacturers to try and show clothes without vents in the back. The lapel's a little narrower, the shoulders are very easy, the pants are just chino, and exactly the same way as army chinos were. And he's wearing one of the pieces of carry-on luggage that we do, and that has worked very well for me.
You travel a tremendous amount, I know.
About 100,000 miles a year, and I find really that for my own sake, I cannot stand at Carousel B waiting for my luggage
So you carry everything on?
Everything.
I
Poor
do too,
airlines
right?
hostesses get hernias with me, but at least I carry on everything.
One thing I would like to ask about, if you could just turn around for a second, we can take a look at the back of this coat. Why the decision not to have flaps or a vent or whatever in the back? I just made this trip to Italy where I noticed you do not see a flap or a vent in the back.
It has no major importance. It simply, as
good,
Karl
straight
said,
answer.
the great thing about fashion is its constant change, and you constantly try to explain why things happen. Claire McConnell, who was my fellow designer at Lord & Taylor many years ago, whenever somebody said to her, "Claire, what will be?" she always said, "I can't tell you, but I can tell you later on that I was right." So in fashion, it changes, and you don't know why it happens. It just happens. One thing is for sure, no designer has ever dictated anything to anyone.
Thank God.
We
You
always...
agree with that?
Oh yes, oh yes.
Yeah, but no, I don't necessarily agree. I think that some people inspire other people. I mean,
Yes, but some people have a possibility to make a better impact with an idea, but
and then
the choice is
the
left to
others
the woman
people
and the
use.
men who wear the clothes.
Exactly.
But like, for example, well, let's look at this. We can continue this
It's
conversation.
another swimsuit based on bandana, which is an American type of print and fabric, which I like. That's all. It's just a wraparound skirt and a swimsuit and a pretty girl. And that's literally the only statement to be made. I have no great romance to project. She does. That's her job, not mine.
I like the cut, though, way up on the
Yeah,
hip like
it's,
that. I think that looks terrific.
Yeah. Well, of course, it comes out of the fact that it's knitted, and also comes out of the fact that she has a fantastic physique. Gals with very bad physiques always have problems. There's not a darn thing to be done about them, except that they have to learn how to wear clothes in which they don't display
That's right, they
weak
wouldn't-
points.
They'd be making a big mistake if they would buy
They'd
something
make
like
a
this.
slight mistake, yes.
Yeah.
With a skirt, they wouldn't.
Okay, let's continue. We've got some roller disco coming up, audience questions, more from each line, so don't go away. We'll be right back. All right, our fourth and our final designer on today's show, we have, by the way, don't forget we have an audience with a lot of interesting questions, is Betsey Johnson. Betsey Johnson has been called the Queen of Low Chic by Women's Wear, and also is the youngest designer ever to win a Coty Award, which she did back in 1971 for her designs for the Alley Cat label. She is now feeling the influence of disco and roller skating and rock, so let's take a look at Betsey Johnson. Get down and do some more. Go ahead. Ah,
Great.
good effort.
Sorry, honey, I
Here, Betsy, you just take that lavender. Diane
I need
will help
about
you with
3
it.
hours to warm up.
We're going to be looking at your. Why are you wearing roller skates?
I like to do funny shows. I think they should be entertainment. And about January, I presented my stretchy stuff. Instead of on a runway with shoes, I did a big roller disco rock and roll show.
Well, what got you
And
back?
then everyone thought that you could dance in my clothes, and now you can roller skate in my clothes. And basically, you can really wear my clothes on the street, too, you know, and
Even that
do
is
other
possible.
things.
That's good. Well, what got you back? What got you into roller skating? Obviously, you have some expertise.
I went with my little girl.
Where did you go first time?
In the Village at the Waverly. Just, we couldn't get in Rockefeller Center to ice skate, so I went downtown to
Had you done it
roller
at all
skate.
when you were a little kid?
Yeah, I wanted to be either a rockette or an ice capade lady. So I studied dancing and ice skating very
No,
seriously.
I guess that you bring
That's
that back
wonderful.
into your design. Diane, have you done any roller skating recently?
No, but I want to. I think it's very good for shaping up, keeping it all tight together.
Yeah, it is. It's good exercise. John, I can't picture you on roller skates, John.
Oh, I played hockey in school.
Oh, so you could do
but
it.
not roller hockey. You know, it's so funny. Betsy just talked about the business of being a dancer and the clothes she's doing. Our greatest designers in America, Rudy Gunreich, really learned how to design because he was a dancer. He's the only one who in those days understood easy movement. And I think all of these dancers really understand design better than an awful lot of people.
That's true. Karl, what about you on roller skates?
You know, in Paris it's not as easy as in New York, because nobody does it yet and there is no place to do it.
The
So
streets?
it hasn't taken...
No, not at all, because in the streets they cannot do it.
No,
because
you cannot do
the Paris streets are like this.
Would you try it? Could you get into it, do you
I
think?
have to ask for my insurance. I'm not sure I'm even allowed to do it.
You're that carefully insured?
Oh, yes. I cannot drive a car, no motorbike, nothing.
Because of the various license
Yes, and all those
commitments?
things behind.
That's really something. See, don't get too successful, Betsy. We'll have to take off your wheels.
And I'm not insured at all.
Let's take a look at some of your designs. Because I think it's interesting, as we do look at Betsey Johnson's designs, to talk about the influence of disco on design.
The point of view of these clothes is that they interchange with each other. It's like a modular collection of shapes that can go nighttime or daytime or to the beach, under and over everything, and they're all washable and real affordable.
Terrific. Gee, you not only have to have beautiful models, you have to have a specialty act at the same time.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a collection of terrific girls, looking girls that can skate. It's really, this is all cotton stretchy stuff. It's that Lycra spandex
Sure.
that's in all of it, woven through the fabric, so it always bounces back. You don't get sagging and all that.
Ah,
Diane
this is
is
sharp.
in,
This is for formal disco events.
Yeah. The seam
Black
stocking
belt.
look. This is heavy, heavy spandex. Only the majorettes and the football guys.
Yeah, this
Jack
is
used to wear
basically
this
what a
fabric.
football uniform is made of, the legs.
And it's real sturdy. It's like denim. It goes in the washing machine, and it's stretchy and comfortable and I don't know, fun.
I love the
like
rear
fun.
view on this. This man can really skate. Look at this stuff. Turn it on.
Hey. He designs his own stuff too. And the ladies again.
It's beautiful to watch, isn't it? Yeah. I like the movement a lot.
But they're really starting now in the streets of New York.
Sure.
They
I've been
really.
ski-
Yeah.
She's up. She's okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. No, it's true. Betsy, I think it's terrific. Now, but what about the general influence? Now, you talk about using sports materials, the Lycra. We know that disco has never been hotter. Now people are roller skating with fashions. How does that trickle down and affect all of the areas of what you're all doing?
I think we all have a kind of specific customer, a different customer that may overlap and has some Diane. But I'm basically into an American kind of dance, sport, real world, you know, washing machine, inexpensive clothing, that kind of point of view, like a jean and a t-shirt kind of feeling. And I think that's just very American. It's like a danskin leotard kind of concept.
But I think that actually the same woman, I mean, what the great thing about women today is, God, we could be so many things.
There's
You
so
know,
many
you
options
can wear
we've already
that,
seen.
Exactly right.
and you could play your fantasy and be a queen today, and then you could put your blue jeans and go roller skating, and you can have this, and you can have it all. And that's what we're all fighting for. And so I think that your customer, his customer, my customer,
Can be
I
the
mean,
same.
it's all the same woman, and it's the woman of today, and she's great.
Well put. All right, let's take a break, and we'll return for some audience questions after this. All right, before we see the second part of Karl Lagerfeld's collection, and JohnWeitz collection will be coming up later, and Diane and Betsey's, I want to go to the audience. We have most of the people who came today are regular viewers who wanted to meet you designers. So let's go with question number one. Hi.
Hi, my name is Nell Kaplan, and I'm sure Diane VonFurstenberg recognizes her dress. I love it. I happen to have bought this dress, but I also enjoy sewing designer fashions at home. I've sewn your things, I've sewn BetseyJohnson's, but it seems a little difficult to find the fabrics in the stores. Is there any reason for that, or is there any way to make it more readily available for the home sewer?
You mean the identical fabrics? Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
I think that probably the people who sell fabric to the store at this point, they're not quite sure what the position is, whether people do want to sew home or they don't.
Mm-hmm.
I love beauty. I mean, I love buying fabrics, and very often you don't find what you want, and it's really nice to buy something that you like and that feels great, and you do what you want. So I think that you probably will help finding more fabric by coming on television and saying it. So that's what you're doing.
But if, you just stay there for a second, where are the best fabrics from? Karl, where do you, like, if
Italy.
you... From Italy.
Oh yes, for silk and all those things in Jersey, Italy is the best.
Well, there has to be some place in New York.
Yes, except that if you buy patterns,
As a little
which
consumer,
she's
yeah.
talking about, there are some awfully good fabric stores, and there are good fabric departments in the department stores. And there are whole divisions of the big textile companies that concentrate only on selling fabrics at retail. It is tough, I agree, to duplicate a designer's choice, because the designer has a certain thing in mind, you can't find it. But you do fairly well.
You know, and then there's another story, I think. Lots of people think that for the stretch material, they need special machines, and that they cannot do it at home.
Yeah?
That's not
Because
so.
normally bathing suits used to be made in different factories than dresses. And the people who have shops for this sort of material think that nobody will buy because nobody knows how to
But the
handle
regular
it.
needles work and so forth on that stuff?
You have to be pretty clever to do it. Huh?
Do you sew yourself, Karl?
No, not really, because I would not make a big collection.
But can you sew?
I can tell other people how to do. But
How about you, John?
Well,
he knows.
Monsieur Lagerfeld and I started the same way. We both apprenticed in couture houses. I learned how to become a dressmaker and a tailor. That was the basic craft at a famous old couture house. And after that, the rest is wizardry. But the sewing is the basic thing.
Yeah, I see that. Diane?
Well, I was told that you had to learn how to sew in order to find a husband. But,
Well, it worked.
well, but I do know how to sew. I don't really... No, of course I know how to sew. And in fact, when I go to very formal things, sometimes what I do, at the last minute I can't find what I want, and I don't do very formal things. So what I do is I get some extraordinary fabric, and I will sew it myself and make 3 holes, 1 for my head and 2 for the arms, and just
Put it
get
on
right
and take
in.
off. Terrific. We want to see the second part of Karl. Thank you for a good question. We want to see the second part of Karl Lagerfeld's collection right now. Let's do it.
Oh, this is beautiful.
This is beautiful.
Oh, that I love.
So funny.
This has that same silhouette as the coat.
Yes, exactly.
That's beautiful.
Is that an electric light bulb
Yes,
on the front?
you saw it right. You got it. You got the message.
That's what Con Edison.
It's really, in addition to being fashion, it's really art at this level, I think. It's
beautiful.
It's a beautiful piece of art.
It's better you say that than I say that.
Yes, well, I really mean that.
This on the beginning was a joke because I wanted an embroidery done in a certain way, and I gave him as a sample the bottle, and it turned out so nice that finally I made a dress with the shape of the fragrance bottle. And the tiara is a joke because in fact it's a necklace you can wear as a necklace and as a tiara, because every woman can be a queen today.
How did the sleeves come to stand out like that? That almost reminds me of a 19th century effect on the sleeves.
Oh, there is some foam in it. Because those dresses, you can pack them and they will not even be wrinkled, because all the waist and the sleeves, everything is on foam, and so the material does not even wrinkle, and it's light like a feather.
And Karl, you claim to have no knowledge about the specific price of these products?
No, not really.
No. Would you like to
Beautiful
guess?
bottle, Karl.
Oh, it is. The bottle is
The most
beautiful.
exquisite bottle.
From the Chloe.
I designed it when I had a vase at home, and I had to put 2 color lily in it, and then I said, it could be nice for the bottle, and that is the way it worked.
It was beautiful. It is beautiful.
Just love that.
You know, it's so interesting. I find it's such a pleasant design, just that I feel a little nicer now that it walked up and walked
Good, I'm
by.
glad.
Really, really pretty.
This is a 1979 version of the bustle. It's like, how could I say, a clin d'oeil to the past.
It's like
Wink.
A joke for the
Wink.
future. For the
100
future.
years ago, sure. You wink and it's
But
back.
then it was done in a very, very stiff way, like something done by an upholsterer. Now it's cut just in one piece of material. There's not even a lining in. It's just the material cut in a certain way.
You know, it's interesting. I saw the Elephant Man last week, and one of the costumes that was worn in there was very formal with a bustle, and I wondered whether or not there was any possibility that could ever return to fashion. Now here I am the next week seeing at least a remnant of it.
You know,
on
it will
stage.
never be a fashion for everyday fashion. It can be like a charming thing for one evening.
What were you saying?
Those things never come back as real fashion. They come back as, how could I say, a clin d'oeil for one night.
For an event, a
exactly,
special event.
exactly.
This is beautiful. That's beautiful.
Pat had the same dress on the Paris show too, because wings was the main inspiration of the collection. Wings in the air.
It's beautiful.
It's like water. It's beautiful.
And frankly, Karl, I can't ever imagine that would be out of style.
No,
it is so
no,
elegant
it's classic
and
in
so
a way.
beautiful. Yeah, and I want to talk to you later about some of your statements about classic, but that, I think, is just perfect. Do we have more?
I
No,
don't.
Waiting in the
I don't
wings?
think so. There are no wings.
I think Diane
wings left.
VonFurstenberg's back in the wings. All right, we're back. I want to go right to the audience. We have 2 questions, then we'll see some more of Diane VonFurstenberg's fashions.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Angela Robinson. I'm a model who works here in New York and also in Paris. And my question is directed to each of you. In Paris now, Vogue and both Women's Wear Daily have reported that the black model is absolutely the Vogue on runway. And I'd like to know why this hasn't carried over into the print and advertising and television work that each of you are doing.
What would you say, Karl?
Because the main force of black models is that they have a way to move no white woman can imitate on stage. In photos, that doesn't show that much, so there is no difference. I mean, they take what they like, the photographers. And
So it's for the movement reasons.
yes, for the movement, because the black girls in Paris, Pat Cleveland is considered in Europe the best showgirl in the world, and Karl and other girls like this too, because they move in a very fabulous way, and no white girl can move that beautifully.
And we just saw Pat Cleveland in the last
Yes.
of the addresses of the...
That's the
There may
reason,
be-
because
there may
they
be
use them
some
more
way-
for shows, because for shows they are more spectacular. And they can wear summer beach things in winter, what other cannot. If they are not tanned, it's not possible. They look okay all the time. That's why they are so great for shows and so in demand for shows.
Yes, they're great for shows, but my question is why are they so unsuitable for print? Why is not their success carried over into the print field, which is better and makes them receive more publicity individually?
In Paris, it's not the same. They use them. A girl like Munia from Saint Laurent is a very popular photo model there too. Huh?
Maybe some of the New York designers have a different answer.
What do you think, Diane?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think.
Betsy?
I don't know, because I don't know. A beautiful woman is a beautiful woman, no matter what. And I guess I just don't see that. I mean, I choose models and all of that, and I mean, I don't even think whether they're black or I don't know. But it's an interesting question. I'll come back with an answer.
Maybe there's a printing problem.
A what problem?
A printing problem for technical. I don't know, because I make shows, I don't make newspapers.
Betsy, do you have any thought on this?
I don't know either.
All right, John?
I'm quite colorblind.
No, but it is. I mean, I think that for shows there's no question that the black models move much better, and they also look so much more modern. I mean, you know, and I guess that maybe for print advertising, people become, because photographs remain there longer, and their audience, they try their audience to be larger, so they, you know, you're more advanced in shows than you are in prints. So I think all you have to do is just hold on a little bit. But I think it's coming. It's definitely coming.
Oh, bravo.
Thank you. Interesting question. Now here's one that I know what this question is going to be. It's a little complicated, but it's a very good question.
I'll try to explain. I'm a student at FIT, which is fast.
That's the Fashion Institute of Design, yeah.
Okay, of Technology in New York.
Technology.
Okay. And I'd like to know, I'm curious as to your backgrounds. I know that some designers didn't start out in college in history, in design. They had other majors such as psychology or history. I'm wondering, how did you start?
And their formal training. Well, we've heard a little bit about your formal training, John.
I went to a school called St. Paul's School in London, and I was through by the time I was 16. I was on my way to university. And wasn't too happy at that age in university, so I apprenticed. I believe fashion is a craft and not an art. I think it should be practiced like carpentry, and if you're very good, you're Chippendale, and if you're not, you're a carpenter. So I think it should be apprenticed. I don't believe in studying it.
Oh, Jesus
what about
Christ.
your training, Karl?
I wanted to be in fashion my whole life. So when I was 16, there was a contest organized worldwide by the International Wool Fashion Institute, and I sent the sketch of a coat. And 6 months later, I got a telegram, you got the first prize in our contest. And there was another winner for the first prize for the dress, and it was Yves Saint Laurent. And that is the way we started. But what's funny about the story is that the year before and 3 years later, they made the same contest, and nobody never heard again of the other winner of those other contests. What means everybody can have the same chances. The only thing is, you have to work them out.
That's right, and you have to be willing to invest the time.
And you have to have a
good
good year, like the wine. It was a good year.
Yes, maybe.
What about you, Betsy? In formal training?
I won a contest too,
Yeah.
because I wanted to, well, be an artist in New York. I went to art school, but I just wanted to get to New York, so I entered that Mademoiselle magazine contest.
How did you do?
I won. They picked 20 girls out, but it got me in New York because I didn't know I wanted to design clothes. I always made my own clothes. I always made everything. Just, you know, just figuring it out, working it out. And I started making clothes just for an extra kind of income thing. And it was timing too. I felt very strongly about the mid-60s, that 1965 time was when I started in a very special boutique operation, and it was a training of just discovering metallics and op art and rock and roll, you know, it was a lifestyle thing that I just happened to put what I was doing with my hands into a business.
Diane?
And me, well, I don't know. I guess my great ambition was to be a free woman. And at that time, I had to find some way, somehow, to become me. And at the time, I always played with colors, and I love colors, and I love beauty. I guess my vocation is really more on the beauty side. And I just arrived in New York at a time in which I couldn't find what I would have liked for myself, so that's how I got involved. And
did you have any formal training?
not fashion training, no. I went to school. I studied economics, which I certainly put in use, but no fashion.
It's like you're such a good businesswoman.
Excellent businesswoman.
But
And let's.
I remember many years ago being asked about Diane when she started, and I said at that time she'd be the modern-day Chanel. She had a career. She has a career very much like Chanel's, and that Chanel wasn't really a trained seamstress.
I don't think she's that mean as a person.
But she's successful like Chanel.
Well, she was a free woman.
Yeah.
I think what we see here, though, is some just basic talent that has grown in various directions, learning the craft, having early encouragement in the contest, the same thing here, and just
have
a
a lot
sense of
of
how to
drive.
do it.
But I believe in contest, and I gave a
Yeah.
prize in Paris for a contest for a fashion school, where every year on the end of the year I give a prize to the best student of that school.
Sure. And as you said, you shall reap. It was good to you, and now
it
you're
worked
good
for
to other
me. It
people.
could work for somebody else too.
Let's finish off this part of the show with a look at some of Diane's designs and fashions. All right?
Well, this is a very, again, I guess it's a very simple little dress. It's really nothing, but it's very naughty. This is a naughty dress.
It moves.
It's a little sexy, and it doesn't say much, but it's a little inviting, and it's fun. It's fun to wear. You understand this dress only when you wear it.
I guess I'll never understand it.
No, you won't.
Can we have the next model, please?
But you may understand it if you want to take it off.
That's true. Then I would understand it.
And this is the silk fabric again, that wonderful silk jersey. This is a two-piece, and it's just very basic. It's very much nothing, but it feels absolutely great. That's a feel-good thing. And there again, it's something that you won't understand until you wear it.
All right. Next, please.
Well, this wasn't really made to be together. I just throw it in. What I really want to show you is probably just a little quilted jacket, which could go over and above anything. And she's just wearing a two-piece silk dress. Maybe take it off. And it's a very nothing little two-piece, but the great quilted jacket, that is fun too. It feels good.
Oh, we were just talking about having a sense of humor and surviving. You know, in preparing for today's show, I was reading about all of our designers, and I observed two contradictory statements from two of our guests. Karl Lagerfeld is quoted as saying, "Classic in fashion is an elegant expression of boredom." Right? JohnWeitz has been quoted as saying, "It is not worth a little publicity to go against the grain," and also that you believe in the classic role in fashion. So I wonder if we could elaborate on that a little bit. If
Well,
you...
Karl is absolutely right.
From my point of view, as well as he's right from his.
Yeah. I find that, you know, there are two responsibilities. The first one is not only to dress people, but also to run your own business.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you spend a lot of years in your life at first creating an impression and doing a lot of new and fascinating things. And then you spend a great deal of time sort of crabbing sideways, attempting to attach yourself to highly understandable things in order that more of them are sold, because it's my guess is that more people wear navy blue ties than wear floral ties, for instance. Light blue shirts like the one you're wearing. Do you know, they took a count the other day of all the men's shirts sold all over the world under the JohnWeitz label. It's millions. And 30% were light blue plain shirts. Now, it must tell us something. I don't believe that people are all that fashion crazy. I think that they like the idea of being comfortable in the clothes they wear, comfortable in their heads, not comfortable in their bodies. And that's just about all. Most people do not crawl on both knees because fashion has passed them by.
Right.
I'll assassinate myself, my pants are too narrow, you know.
Yeah. But let me then shift back to Karl. And again, the statement that classic in fashion is an elegant expression of boredom.
Very often for something like expensive clothes have to change very often. If not, there's no reason to buy another dress. If you have a dress like this, you can keep it for the rest of your days. There has something stimulating, amusing to make it change. But if a designer who's supposed to change, who does not make classic, mass-produced clothes, made a dress, and 6 months later he shows the same because that is his style for the rest of his days, it's perhaps his classic, but for the other people and for the clients, I think it's a little boring. One must not overact that in inventive designing, say, this is my style, this looks like mine, this is me, and do the same thing all the time. I think one has to change as well as time is changing, and as we sell physically are changing.
Now, I wonder whether or not you could project, I know it's difficult, we've already said it's difficult to do this, a couple of years into the future based on where you sit as part of the Paris fashion structure, the general overall shaping of women's clothes and skirt lengths. What would you say a couple of years from now we might be seeing that we're not close to seeing now?
You know, you need a distance to judge fashion. But how could you imagine the 20s without the chemise? How could you imagine the 18th centuries without the panier? Because finally, with the distance, there are 2 or 3 things coming out of one period, and that are the easiest thing, easier than everything else, to remember a period.
Sure. Well, you know, after our program goes off the air each day, we have a show that comes on with Marlo Thomas called That Girl. And this was done right in the heart of the 60s, right? And frequently, we see her wearing little tiny mini skirts way above her knees that at once, to most of our senses, looked terrific. It worked, the legs. Now, as we look back on it, you know, you got to admit, she does look a little silly in some of those outfits.
Not
Why?
for very long, not for very long.
You say we're headed
Short
back in that
legs.
direction?
Well, legs, body.
Yes,
But
I
differently,
see a
with
few
slits
right
like
here.
this.
Huh?
With slits like this.
No, but not necessarily slits. I think she is in the right direction in the sense that
It's a roller skate
body. No, well, it's a question of body. It's a question of free movement, and the question body is going to be, but I don't know. I mean, you know, in year 2000, God knows what was going to happen.
I just wanted 1981.
Oh,
You know, it's very different in Europe than in America. In
That's
Europe,
true.
the very young girl, the 14, 15 years old girl, they hate everything what is supposed to be young. The 30 years old one, they want to be young.
So they reverse
The
it like
15 years
that.
old girls don't have any need for that. And I went to a big movie party in Paris the other day for the sort of French Oscar, and then all the actors showed up in very sexy things, short, sexy, and then suddenly a girl who made a movie, and she was 15 years old, called Eleanor Clavine, and she was dressed in black jersey like a dowager, and all the other girls looked like freaks. And she was the most modern, the most beautiful, the most
But also
elegant
wearing a
creature.
classic.
15 years old to die.
Now, before we continue and looking at some of John's things, let's see if I can summarize. You say that you believe we're headed back toward the miniskirt.
No.
No?
I didn't say that. I said that.
Would you
just-
like to say that?
No, I didn't. I wouldn't like to say that. I just said that you telling me that you see Marlo Thomas with short skirts and you say, oh well. I said wait,
It just, it's so,
wait another
it
year.
looks
you may
so
think
funny. You know, and it used to look so
Very
great, but
slowly,
now it
the
really
slits
looks
and the
bizarre.
leg
And
covers.
also when yes, you know, all of a sudden the emphasis is on the legs, so the pants narrow down and everything comes up somewhere else, you know, and the shirts goes up or it opens, and then all of a sudden it's short again, and then you don't quite really know why and how, and all of a sudden everything goes long again. So what I is that Marlo Thomas, you're seeing her today, you think it's funny. Maybe in 2 years you'll think it's not so funny.
But I think the things never come back in the same context.
No,
And then
never.
in the 60s, all those stretch material were not as beautiful as they are today. That is much better
fabrics,
today.
sure.
That makes a big change for the 80s,
Absolutely.
because now technically we are ready for that. Then it was impossible. Those things were done in very ugly, stiff material.
Yes, you would
And then
sit
I
down
think
the whole
the
dress.
miniskirt will come back, but it will never be like it was before, because then it was new, never seen before. Now it's sort of classic. Like pants are classic, like skirts, because one day it's fun to be in a miniskirt, one day it's fun to be in a skirt with a slit, another day in pants, because I think everything can exist now, and the most important change comes only from the way the way things are put together.
Excellent point. Would you say at this? Oh, we better get to John's fashions. I got a cue. John, next on, right here.
However they're put together.
Second part of John Weitz.
I talked too much, I'm sorry.
No, everything is fine.
No, it's just a business suit. This is the sort of a tweedy type business suit which has become more and more important in office situations. I expect it gives you the illusion that you're running away to the country and it's Friday night. And it also makes for excellent travel stuff, because it doesn't have to be as neat as all this. It can be a little rumpled. By the way, you'll notice the lapels were a little narrow, which is nothing to collapse over, but it is a change.
You are very casual, John Weitz. You don't take this very seriously.
I can't, because I know that if I say the lapels are narrow, it's because we're demonstrating a new point of view. I just don't expect men to commit vast suicides all over the country because
I got it.
the lapels are too wide.
Thank you.
Double-breasted corduroy blazer, very simply cut, nothing to it. Happens all over the world at the same time. Everybody discovers it. It's the darndest thing. You end up speaking to somebody who works 4,000 miles away, and you've both come to the same conclusion at the same time, and you naturally assume that he stole it from you.
I would never say you are pretentious.
Never.
Never.
Not in the least. It's a charming, ingratiating quality, I would say.
By the way, he wears his clothes well, this fella. He
Very.
puts it all together well. We left the models their chance to do things their way. Now, I do every year one teeny little couture collection of clothes that I do, custom clothes that I do for specific ladies who want clothes,
One of a
usually
kind
evening
outfits, yeah.
separates. In this case, a very simple Chinese dress and kind of a great big oriental thing around it to be worn with the fellow who wears one of my dinner suits, who, by the way, is also a restaurateur. I'm
Yes,
told.
the model we see here, his name is Oren, is one of the owners of Oren and Arensky's, which is a very popular new restaurant on 3rd Avenue, one of the new in spots. The question now is, Oren, to keep it an in spot, right? Good luck.
By not publicizing it on television.
That's
of course, right. By the way, that is silk, and silk is silk, and there's nothing like silk, and there we are. It's enormously expensive stuff. It's kind of like the car, but it does its trick. Thank you
And the
very
tuxedo is
And
a
there's no
classic.
business like fashion business.
Thank you. We'll be back right after this to wrap things up and more disco. All right, I think it's been an interesting program. Lots of beautiful fashions, insights, and I want to thank everybody. Betsey, when are you going to come out with a fragrance line?
When my cold goes away. No,
You can smell
Already
it.
the Johnson baby
one of
cooler.
these years.
Yeah, we didn't even get into that. Diane, you're doing very well with your perfumes, right?
Yeah.
Good. Carl, Chloe is beautiful. You now have a new line of men's cosmetics and things.
And I'm working on the makeup and on the third fragrance too.
There's no end. You'll be doing refrigerators soon.
No, I don't. Nobody asked me. I don't think so.
JohnWeitz, how about you? You have a fragrance.
My next movie, no, I do have a men's thing.
Well,
And it's doing very nice.
I thank all of you for coming. Good luck with the car. Try to put an electric engine in it if you
I'll
possibly
try.
can. Cut down on the gasoline.
Okay.
Okay, I think.